Welcome everybody to the first installment of our talk show, Direct Damage, where I will be asking painful questions to our lovely panel of guests. And this week we have with us Jamin and Carl from Cardmarket and Harry MTG from the Midweek Metagame. Welcome guys, and thank you for coming on to the show. How are we all feeling? Are we all good set for our lovely painful questions that I'm about to inflict upon you?
I'm so ready.
Nice room you got here. I like the neon light.
Fantastic. Yeah, I said it myself. So first question we're going to be dealing with on this show is a very painful one for a lot of people, and that is, are proxies okay?
Oh yeah, that's a big one. Just I feel like we're entering dangerous territory here. I do need to point out, Jamin and I both work for Cardmarket, so our opinions here will not reflect the views of Cardmarket as a company, just our personal views.
Okay, so then I guess we'll start off with Harry then. What are your opinions on proxies for tournament play?
For tournament play, they're okay.
You're gonna have to explain that one. You're gonna have to go into detail.
Obviously, I don't think proxies are okay in tournaments in general, but I think that there have been a lot of legacy and vintage proxy allowed tournaments coming up recently because the price of Magic is getting so high. And I think, with students like me, and I'm sure there's many people out there that don't want to spend 3,000 euros for a vintage deck or a legacy deck. If you have distinguish between proxy allowed tournaments and non-proxy tournaments, I think it's actually completely fine.
What about you guys? I mean, full-time jobs, you guys are working 9 to 5. You guys the same opinion?
To some extent, I do agree on that topic, but at the same time, where do proxies start? Which cards are we allowed to proxy? Am I allowed to, show up with a deck that's entirely full of proxies? We need all these specifications to be in place to have a proxy tournament. But then, who would standardize these specifications and who would print out the proxies? With all these rules in place, we've gone full circle where someone, Wizards of the Coast, is printing cardboard and declaring it as tournament legal because we have to have some specifications for proxies.
So what you're saying is it kind of get a bit messy. Yeah, I can see that. But Carl, what are your thoughts on this?
I do agree with Jamin that at some point, who decides is it 40 over, 40 under, what if a card price changes? But more importantly than that, especially for tournament play, is these tournaments are not usually just like grassroots tournament. No one owns a hall and has a prize pool readily available.
Fun, yeah.
So it's usually organized by Wizards of the Coast itself or large LGSs, stores that you want to support, or companies like Cardmarket that is a platform on which you sell cards that are doing this for a reason. Yes, we love to support the community and make tournaments, but our pockets are not infinite. So when we're organizing these tournaments, it's because we want to support a community that buys these cards. There's people who design these cards. We love them. The people that playtest them, we support them. The people that make the art, no one hates the artists. They need to get paid somehow. It's expensive to distribute these cards. It's expensive to put them into packs, to print them. So not paying for a tournament, coming up to those with proxies that you didn't pay for is not really respecting the people who are organizing the tournament you're playing in, who are providing the prize pool. So especially just for organized play, showing up being like, yes, I love all this huge thing you put tons of money into organizing, but I'm not going to pay in to actually buy the cards that the company made for this, is not very fair to the community.
But what about just playtesting? If you think proxies are fine for tournament play, proxies should be fine for playtesting, right?
No.
You don't think? No.
I've proxied everything. I've had printing out from a printer and gluing it on a card. I've done Sharpie on a basic land. I have bought a few fakes in my time.
What about you?
Sharpie on paper, proxies that are really clearly obvious because you're playtesting, absolutely fine. I think printing out A4 sheets with black and white versions of the paper, completely fine. But some people will go on Wish.com and stuff and buy some really realistic printouts because the experience is there. And yes, I understand that you want to have the real experience, but you're playtesting for a completely different reason. You're playtesting because you don't know which cards are going to put in the deck that you're going to an event. Some people will go and then buy really realistic proxies online. I think that's not okay because you're putting those cards into the world. Yeah. But there's a lot of people out there that you're fooling. Someone could buy it, return, expecting that they'll play in the legacy deck, 6 years they'll sell it back, retain their value? No, in 6 years they'll get a really bad surprise when someone's like that.
There needs to be distinguishing features. We have the gold border World Championship deck cards that aren't tournament playable, but they look like the real deal. If you're playtesting, you just make sure your card doesn't look like a Magic card, even the slightest, and that there's some easily spottable like identifying feature
I do
of
think
a
that is
proxy.
definitely a good rhetoric to have. So just pushing on to the final question, I do think that this one is actually a lot more hotly debated than people kind of think it is, and that's using proxies like around the kitchen table. Like, Yamin, what is your opinion on this? Like, everyone surely has played.
Are we talking about fooling my friends?
No. We're talking very specifically about like everything's out in the open. It's all on the table.
All right,
Like,
yeah,
I
it's-
am not paying €50 for this card. I am going to print this out on some paper and use it.
Communicate with your friends. It can't be that hard, can it? Like,
I don't know
just
about
make
that.
sure everyone's on the same page, and then nobody's gonna come in and bust your local play group.
I don't know about you guys, but I like my lightning bolt to deal 5 damage. If I play with one of my friends. Yeah.
So you're printing out a 5 damage lightning bolt?
Proxy off the effects, man.
This is just a really good lightning bolt.
Like, as long as everything is communicated, I think things are fine, right?
Carl?
I think showing up and expecting not to pay for the game again, once again goes to the same problem. Whole people are making this game for you, making it possible. Crazy amount of effort goes into these cards you're playing with. I don't think you should be printing all the cards you play at the table with your friends because it's Monopoly night. We're all gonna buy Monopoly, but one of you goes, wait guys, you guys will all pitch in the €10 and split for my part because I'm gonna print out my paper money and I'm gonna print out my slots for all the boardwalk cards because I don't really feel like pitching in the €10. It's not fair to the others. It's kind of weird. If you're like, let's not play with more than €30 decks and everyone's fine with that, it's a good way to standardize the level of play. And then if you're in your 40s and have some passive income and want to come in and buy some more expensive decks, that's on you. The kitchen table people don't really care about maximum EV plays.
Your opinion, I assume, is just like the absolute strictest on proxies based off of your previous ones. So no proxies with friends at all. I want you to pay.
Don't assume his position on proxies.
Yeah.
I'm just basing my opinions off his
Well, I think
previous.
that there's a big debate in, let's say, the Commander community with even just playing with unstable cards, silver border cards, and I think, like Yamin said, it's all down to who you're playing with, what are the rules and the boundaries, and I think that if the group thinks it's okay to proxy cards, then I think that's completely fine. I think, generally speaking, in Commander, there can be some very, very expensive cards that are only played in Commander, and normally speaking, I think people are comfortable if 95 cards of your Commander deck are real, and the 4 expensive ones are proxied. I don't think that having a 100 card proxy deck is very nice because the whole point of playing Magic is to appreciate the beauty of the cards, and if everyone's playing these sharpied paper printed cards, I think it kind of ruins the point of sitting down and playing Magic.
Yeah, it doesn't feel as nice.
Yeah.
Okay, well, I think we've dealt some sufficient damage directly. And let us know if you were directly affected by our horrible takes. And if you like this kind of content, like and subscribe and let us know. And I'd like to thank my lovely panel for showing up. And we will see you next time for another direct damage.